Stop calling it Stoicism. If your silence comes from fear, it isn't wisdom, it's avoidance. Stop explaining yourself to protect your reputation. That's weakness. Stop refusing to explain yourself just to look strong. That's ego. Learn the difference. Because the person who explains everything has no self-respect, but the person who explains nothing has no discernment. You've already learned that becoming comfortable being misunderstood is freedom. Keep that lesson. You're about to discover its limit. Because there comes a moment when your silence stops protecting the truth and starts protecting a lie. Miss this moment, and the silence you thought was protecting your character becomes cowardice. Stay with me, because before this video ends, you'll know the only explanation an honorable person can never afford to withhold. Here's something that should make you uncomfortable. Two people can remain completely silent, and only one of them is acting like a Stoic. The other is simply afraid. From the outside, they look identical. Neither argues, neither defends themselves, neither raises their voice. Yet one grows stronger, while the other slowly becomes a prisoner of their own silence. Silence has no moral value. None. It's what silence is protecting that gives it meaning. Seneca understood this long before silence became fashionable. He said, "No action is more shameful than doing what is not right because of fear." Notice what he doesn't condemn. He doesn't condemn speaking. He doesn't condemn silence. He condemns fear. That's the part almost everyone misses. Stoicism never judged the action first. It judged the motive. Imagine one man refuses to answer an insult because the insult means nothing to him. Now imagine another man refuses to answer a question because the truth terrifies him. Both stayed silent. Only one was free. Which means the real danger was never speaking too much. It's becoming so attached to silence that you stop asking why you're silent in the first place. Let me ask you to do something. No one else will hear your answer. Don't say it out loud. Just answer it in your own mind. Why did you make the hardest decision of your life? Not what happened. Not who was involved. Why? Did an answer come immediately? Or did your mind start searching, looking for words it couldn't quite find? That's interesting, because most people think they know why they made their biggest decisions until they're forced to explain them. Then something unexpected happens. They don't discover better words. They discover missing thoughts. A person says, "I left because I deserved better." But after explaining it, they realize they actually left because they were exhausted. Someone says, "I cut them off because they were toxic," then keeps talking and suddenly realizes they never felt seen. The explanation changed because they changed. Speaking the truth has a strange way of exposing the parts you were hiding, even from yourself. That's why the strongest explanations aren't performances. They're discoveries. You don't always explain yourself because someone else deserves an answer. Sometimes you explain yourself because your own mind has been living on unfinished sentences. And unfinished sentences create unfinished lives. Before we continue, one sentence. That's all. Who in your life has actually earned an explanation from you? Write only the relationship. My father, my wife, my best friend. Nothing more. I have a feeling the pattern in those answers is going to be more revealing than any of us expect. Let's put Stoicism on trial for a moment. The charge? Real strength never explains itself. It sounds convincing, until you examine the evidence. Exhibit A. Socrates. He knew explaining his philosophy could cost him his life. It did. He still stood before Athens and defended the life he believed was worth living, not because he expected mercy, because truth was worth speaking, even when no one wanted to hear it. Exhibit B. Marcus Aurelius. The most powerful man in the Roman Empire. He didn't spend years writing meditations because he needed applause. No one was supposed to read those pages. He wrote because truth first had to survive inside him, before it could survive anywhere else. Think about that. One man spoke to a courtroom. The other spoke to himself. Both refused to let silence erase what mattered. Exhibit C. Viktor Frankl. After surviving the concentration camps, he could have chosen silence. No one would have blamed him. Instead, he explained how meaning can survive suffering, not because it made his pain disappear, because leaving that truth unspoken would have buried hope with it. 3 different men, 3 different centuries, one pattern. None of them spoke to rescue their reputation. None of them explained themselves to win an argument. They spoke because remaining silent would have betrayed something greater than themselves. That's the difference. And it's a difference almost everyone misses. History doesn't remember people who successfully avoided uncomfortable conversations. History remembers the people who accepted the cost of telling the truth. The strongest voices in history never spoke to be liked. They spoke because truth required a witness. So here's the question that changes everything. If explaining yourself can come from fear, and it can also come from courage, what separates an honorable explanation from a desperate one? So how do you know when silence has crossed the line? Not every explanation deserves to be spoken, but not every silence deserves to be defended. Here's the difference. If speaking only protects your image, say nothing. If speaking only helps you win an argument, say nothing. If speaking only satisfies your ego, say nothing. Those aren't explanations. They're negotiations for approval. But everything changes the moment your silence stops costing you and starts costing someone else. Now, silence isn't neutral. It's a decision. If someone believes you hurt them, and the truth could heal that wound, your silence isn't strength. It's abandonment. If a lie continues growing because you chose comfort over clarity, your silence isn't maturity. It's permission. If someone who trusts you is searching for the truth, and you withhold it because honesty feels uncomfortable, your silence isn't protecting peace. It's protecting yourself. That's the line. Not when speaking becomes uncomfortable. When silence becomes unfair. James puts it with uncomfortable clarity. Whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. James 4:17. Notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't say, whoever speaks imperfectly. He says, whoever knows. Because responsibility begins the moment truth becomes your burden to carry. That's why the strongest people don't ask, do I feel like explaining? They ask, who pays the price if I don't? That question changes everything. Because there are moments when silence doesn't protect character, it abandons it. Most people spend their entire lives believing silence is always the higher road. Today you've seen why that's only half the truth. If this lesson challenged a belief you've carried for years, let the like button be your way of saying, I understand the difference now. And if someone you care about still mistakes avoidance for wisdom, don't argue with them. Send them this video. Sometimes the right explanation isn't one you give, it's one you share. So here it is. The question this entire video has been moving toward. When should you explain yourself? Not when people doubt you, not when they judge you, not when they misunderstand you, not even when they lie about you. None of those moments are enough. Here's the principle. Explain yourself the moment your silence stops serving the truth and starts serving only yourself. That's it. That's the line. Notice how different that is from protecting your reputation. Reputation asks, what do they think of me? Responsibility asks, what do they deserve from me? Those are two completely different questions. One is driven by image. The other is driven by integrity. Think about it. An apology isn't powerful because it clears your name. It's powerful because it frees someone else from carrying a false story. An explanation isn't honorable because it makes people agree with you. It's honorable because it gives truth the chance to exist. That's why the greatest explanations are never about self-preservation. They're acts of service. Service to justice. Service to healing. Service to love. Service to responsibility. Service to truth. Everything you've heard in this video comes down to one decision. Are you speaking to protect yourself, or are you speaking to serve something greater than yourself? The answer to that question will tell you whether your explanation is coming from fear or from character. The next time you're tempted to explain yourself, don't speak. Not yet. Wait. Ask yourself 3 questions. Not because other people deserve your words, because your character deserves your honesty. First, if nobody believed me, would telling the truth still be the right thing? If the answer is no, you're chasing agreement, not truth. Second, am I speaking because this conversation is uncomfortable, or because this responsibility is unavoidable? One comes from emotion, the other comes from principle. Never confuse the two. Third, if I remain silent, who carries the cost? Me or someone else? Because the moment your silence begins to wound someone who deserved the truth, it is no longer humility. It's neglect. Remember those 3 questions. Not because they'll help you win arguments, because they'll stop you from arguing with your conscience. That's the explanation every Stoic should fear most. The one they owe themselves, but never have the courage to give. People will misunderstand you. Let them. People will judge you. Let them. People will invent stories about you. Let them. You cannot control another person's conclusion. You can only control whether you gave the truth. When the truth became your responsibility, your reputation has never belonged to you. It lives in other people's minds. Your character does. Protect that instead. So don't explain yourself because you're afraid of losing approval. Explain yourself only when the truth deserves a voice. Because the strongest people don't speak to protect their image. They speak when silence would betray their character. Marcus Aurelius left us with one final reminder. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Don't admire that sentence. Practice it. This video answered one question. When should you explain yourself? The next question is even more dangerous. What do you do when someone refuses to understand you, no matter how clearly you've spoken? That's the lesson waiting for you on your screen right now. Watch it next. Then subscribe. Not because you've finished learning, because you've only completed one chapter. Start from the beginning of the playlist. These videos aren't meant to be watched at random. They're chapters of the same conversation. And the next chapter might be the one you need most.